Hello, it's Kim. It's June 18th, 2023. And it is technically the new moon just began. I think at like midnight something. Just so everyone is aware. Just of like that little cosmic thing. This is about as much astrology as Kim can personally give out. I do listen to a lot of astrologers though, just to read my horoscope every day. You never know. And actually got the most out of anything that like you subscribe to is actually notes from the universe. And if you have questions about those, please like ask me. There are a variety of ways that the internet knows how to get to me. And you should be able to find me. And I'll let you know. Or you can just like type it in. I'm sure the Hay House would be like, oh yeah, look at that. We got a shout out. I'm sure they get shout outs all the time. But Hay House does do a lovely job of those. And they do add to my work week where I'm just like, oh yes. Unfortunately, my work week doesn't ever stop. So on the weekends, I'm not willing to pay for them. So I'm like, please, people, send me your own affirmations and tell me how great I am. It has been challenging, and I will put a timestamp on this as usual. I like to give like the stuff that's going on in my life that you might be like, oh, well, that is either very much like me, and this is how I deal with it, or I see me and see how I deal with it, and who knows if it's better or worse on either side or whatever. But it is another way of connecting, right? And then also like what energy I bring into these readings. Now, I specifically chose these cards and was like, okay, none of Kim, this is a collective, this is for whatever. But that doesn't mean that things don't creep in that we're all feeling, okay? And that I can be like, well, I totally had this happen and then blah, 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 right? Okay, so like I always put those caveats out first. It has been a hot mess of few months. I am in my car, but that's because my parents are home for the weekend. Juneteenth, yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is now a federal holiday, which is awesome, is Monday. So if you are celebrating, um, happy Juneteenth. If this is Sunday when I am, Sunday the 18th when I am filming. So happy Father's Days for those in the United States. And Juneteenth, of course, is also United States holiday, and one that always it's like a mixed holiday for me because like I feel like I belong to it. I obviously don't. I'm very not African American, right? But my third grandmother that I adopted was, and she explained everything to me. And there was just like it's sort of like my remembrance day of her, like not the day of her death. I never really celebrated her birthday. Like we didn't know each other like in that way that we'd be like, hey, or that long for that hey. I don't know where she's buried. Her family left and they do and I don't. So Juneteenth is sort of like when I remember her just as much as, the official end of all slavery in the United States. Um, as we all know, it doesn't quite end there. It sort of has like the official term taken away, but a lot of stuff is still going on. Um, and I think we need to acknowledge that while Juneteenth is a holiday, it's not one that ends. Like it can perpetually needs to be remembered because we're not that far away from it. We're not, it wasn't that long ago. And like it wasn't that long ago that it wasn't celebrated. And it's still, can like in certain areas be quite political, shall we say, and tense. Um, so shout out to the brave that live every day with both the weight of their ancestors and the beauty of their ancestors. Um, and Loretta, she was she was quite something. Oh God, how old was she when she offered me my first drink? It wasn't my actually first drink, but like the first drink she offered me. I think she was 90. She's either 89 or 90. Professional bartender most of her life. That should say something right there, all over the South, all over the North, married a white man. And so she was living, as a widower twice, I believe. And she's talking to me and she's like, yeah, you want this? And I realized she had a full bar and she's on Percocet. Okay, loves. So this woman, she might have been in pain, but damn, did she know how to live. She had a lot of chronic pain, just old age pain, arthritis and such. But like, that is how I think we all need to know ourselves. And like, if I'm gonna go down, like definitely, definitely like some Percocet and like a really fancy snazzy drink with friends. I mean, I don't know. She's wonderful. And we took each other in a time when we both needed to be taken in. So I will timestamp that because it's rough. Maybe you don't even need a tarot reading now, and maybe you just need to celebrate. There's always that too, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that's always possible, right? We are entering the solstice, right? So for the northern hemisphere, of course, we're going to have the summer solstice, and the southern hemisphere, the winter solstice. Huge time of liminality and transition, though I don't find it as liminal as Beltane and Samhain or October 31st and May 1st. Okay. So it is like sort of my things. I also associate it with grief, which is why you just heard me probably tearing up with Juneteenth. The death of the sun is very much how I feel is like I feel like my freedom starts ending because I live in my car outside in the sun. That's why I'm here. You have to escape. And I see like all those fun activities going away. And I am not perfect. I'm not saying that that is a great way of looking at it, my friends. It's not. But that's why you'll see that some of my rituals are more humble this time. I am going to show them over the course of the next few days. Of course, I need to do them first. It's been rough because as you know, some of you, I've been dealing with a woman that is now my fourth grandmother, my second adoptive one that I took on from just doing her groceries to trying to figure out an abuse or neglect case. It's very difficult to decide if it's both, if it's one or the other. I'm getting outside aid. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, even, except that I am getting, county aid. I have gone to the state. I've done some stuff. I'm not alone, okay? So I guess perhaps that is the most important thing to know, is that Kim is not going alone. She's getting advice. And I'm not going in with the idea that this woman is, oh, she's just so completely, totally with it, and none of it is her fault. No, I'm looking at dynamics, and I would like the dynamics to be both educational on both sides and to change. So I mean, it's real. What's going on is real. Her fear and terror are real. And therefore, since her fear and terror are real, the feeling that I'm always constantly going to be called, which I am, and be told that I need to rush there to help is there. This is like it was with my grandmother. Things go in cycles. And like I can't always be there because, like I was not reading or writing when I was with my grandmother, so I could just run 5 minutes away. And this woman, I have like a full-fledged career. It doesn't pay, let's be honest, doesn't pay much, but like I still have responsibilities. So if you see that I am quote unquote depressed, I want you to know that I am not. It is not a personal depression, okay? I have been through that dark night of the whatever the hell it was and been impatient. But I have to say that this is not that. This is like an empathy that has transmuted into a dread of not knowing how to help. When you're asked, okay, this is a true story, and I'm sorry, and I will give warnings now or whatever for the next like minute and a half of some type of abuse, possibly. If somebody asks you who you respect, who you love on some level, every minute that you're trying to leave just to go to dinner so that you can get there by 8, just so that you can actually eat and sit. And that for the next half hour from 7:30 until 8 is, what do I do tonight though, Kim, to protect myself? This is all for the future. What do I do tonight? What do I do tonight? And I have no answer. There is no answer. There's nothing that I can do. I can't stay overnight. And I'm even a morning person, and she's an evening person, a night owl. So she goes to bed at 2 a.m. And like that used to be me, but it's not now due to, like my meds and my doctors made me a morning person. So I can't just stay up, 24 hours anymore indefinitely. If it was one night, it'd be different. But this would be, who knows? So trying to find a reason for her to not feel fearful, and for a reason for me not to feel guilty at 8:15 when I am like hurrying up with my dinner and then rushing out to the next thing. It's very difficult. And I don't need like ideas or support, or not support in that way. You don't have to like make any comments or anything. But just know that if I sound down, I am down, but it is not a personal like deep Kim thing. And if I hurt you because I snap at you, you tell me. All right? And with that ultimatum, we'll begin. I do have to be like 10 minutes late, blah blah. Okay. We're using the Egyptian star, which we used last week, and also the Pride Tarot, also used last week. But the thing is like the amount of depth is going to be different for each one, okay? So instead of having like an actual Pride reading, I'm using it more as a starting point. So I have pulled one, okay? One card from the Pride Tarot. I'm going to show it to you upside down, okay? Inverted or reverse, whichever you would like to say. That works too. Okay. Now this deck does not have, reversals. And I don't know how that shows up, but it says love is love. Okay. So I thought that this is important to have on the back. Okay. This is the Six of Wands. And I love art. And I believe also, it was a collaborative deck. So I think also the card meanings are also done by the same person. So this is by Mumi Swan. Keywords: victory, achievement, success, well-deserved recognition, praise, approval, supportive environment. And I think that's very important for the cards that come in the other deck that we're going to actually use for the major part of our reading. Okay. So I'll repeat that again. Supportive environment. Self-esteem, feeling good about your progress and your achievements. For this card, I wanted to apply the traditional tarot connotations of celebration, victory, and recognition in the imagery of a pride parade. It's very fitting. The joyous celebration of progress made, as well as the demand for recognition, is, I think, very relevant in the classic meaning of the Six of Wands. I focus on queer female identity because this is my personal experience, whilst also highlighting the inclusion of trans and other identities within this community. The message of this card is to celebrate yourself and how far we have come as a community, but don't forget to uplift and support those who need to be heard. Now, absolutely, this is a pride card. So we have to keep it in context of, the pride, right? Keep it in context of an all-inclusiveness of I guess the traditional use of the word queer all the way around. Okay. A lot of academia, the term would be queer, although it's not always socially accepted. So I want to make that note. Okay. At the same time, the idea that we need to have this inclusion also speaks to the inclusion of everyone, right? So, like, hands meeting hands, everyone parading, everyone helping each other succeed, everyone doing their small acts to make the world better. That is how I see it. Okay. All right. So we can take it. I would say literally. Yes. Okay. Now, I don't know. I know I've used this deck a few times this last few weeks. This is the one that's in my car that I have yet to. Oh, I'm not going to fess up. The internet might fess up for me, but I'm not going to fess up. All right. I want to see this box. This is a cool box. Just like slides in. I'm going to try not to dump these. All right. You can see that they're going to call it an eye of Horus. There's also, like, the opposite side is an eye of Ra, which is what I traditionally associate with myself. Sort of like a rebirthing and the sun god, that sort of feeling. I go for feelings with gods and goddesses more than always meaning. I admit it. And we actually went all the way through. So usually we get like cards and I'm like back to the back of the card, and then I go to the front and then as I do order. And I want to shuffle these bad babies. But clearly, as you go on with this idea of community and success and achievement, you will see why I chose to have that first versus having it as a clarifying card. All right, this is the back of just so that you know, every card will have this at the back. Okay. The first one is Deacon 6. And I'm going to call it Deacon, like, it sounds like I'm saying Decon because I know my pronunciation, but it's Decan 6. And the transliteration is Temet Heret. The translation is upper wing. Egyptian name, we'll just go there. No, it's TMATHRT. And there's actually calendar dates, which I'm going to have to look up sometime because I don't remember. I used to actually, I knew hieroglyphics before I lost language. It would be nice to get them back. But it's the second octet, 21 to 30. The Deacon group is crane. The mineral is gold. And you have to see me like struggle to turn the page. It's one that's not a cool thing in the card to do. All right, let's go. The card meaning care and nurturing. Okay, like when I got that, I kind of got chills because like I had just gone and said, not about Kim, right? Which all I've been doing has been caring and nurturing. And I wish I could say it was about myself, but care and nurturing. This card represents complete freedom from suffering. Okay, complete freedom from suffering. And the appearance of love. So we get that love in there, right? It may be in the form of an unconditional love, such as that offered by a parent or child, or maybe the love of a romantic partner, either present or arriving soon in the future. Tamat Heret is the upper wing, can be envisioned as a bird's wing. Okay, so you got the bird's wing wrapped around you, enclosing you in a warm and comforting cocoon of love. Inside the wing's protective embrace, you are cared for without fear of judgment or rejection. I'm going to pause for a second because, dear God, is that not what we need right now? I am reading that again just for Kim's own self. All right, enclosing you in a warm and comforting cocoon of love. Inside the wing's protective embrace, you are catered for without fear of judgment or rejection. And this means that we have to do this to ourselves as well. Yes, we have to hold ourselves and stop judging. Because believe me, I judge myself like every day. Like, you made the wrong choice. I mean, like, there's no right choice, and yet I'll still say it's a wrong choice. Self-talk, not always good self-talk. All right. If you're a caregiver, this card may represent you directly or possibly represents another caregiver in your life. Okay. So just like you can take this as yourself, that you are giving them that care, that you're giving the care to yourself, or that maybe the gods just need to take you in for a while, or a lover needs to take you in for a while and just be like, hey, now I've got you. And I have to admit that I don't like touch, but I have been yearning that sort of that embrace that sort of says you're safe. History. This card shows the goddess Anuket suckling the young pharaoh Ramses II, while his daughter Princess Takhet bringing some additional sustenance. Anuket was revered as a benevolent goddess who gave comfort and security. Her name means embracer, hence her frequent motherly depictions. Anuket's festival occurs during this week in the Egyptian calendar, when she was celebrated for her ability to provide fertility and wealth. A link between the crane and the principle of the care and nurturing is also found in pyramid text spelled 254, which mentions two pelicans announcing the arrival of the great god. The great god ushers the West goddess, whose function is one of protection and care. Her arrival causes evildoers to tremble with fear, and she says to the sea, pass by in peace. I have preserved you. Now, I did have that read before, right? And there's still so much powerful stuff coming out of it for me. But like everything that was in the pre, reading the Kim dump, this is the Kim's life dump, just like came up in that. So, I mean, like, I have a feeling that it is a collective sort of energy right now. I mean, it just has that feeling. When I talk on Facebook or here on TNL, I mean, it feels like I don't want to say struggling. It feels like we are working our asses off. Am I allowed to say that on Facebook? It's not really on Facebook, it's on YouTube. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Anyway, it seemed to really encapsulate a lot of what is going on, right? But yet, remember Pride card, right? With the wands. There is a celebration. All right. This is a Decan 18, transliteration, Tepi Asamed, Tepi Samed, translator, right, translation, predecessor of the horn. And the Egyptian calendar date is 2 Pere 2130. It's a group of the sheep, mineral gold, also gold. Okay. It is a tree of life and wisdom. On the astronomical ceiling in the tomb of the Senmut, Tepi Asamed is included with the decans of the boat group. Although the decan is clearly connected with the sheep group, it is part of a horn after all. The substance of the substance of the decan fits with the philosophical view of the boat being a vessel for aspects of the human condition. In this case, Tepi Ahmed represents your intellectual world. What is going on in your mind? In some ways, the tree is a manifestation of this oracle deck itself. It is a book of ancient knowledge that is tied to the natural order of things, and like the tarot, expresses celestial mysteries in pictorial form to make them easier to grasp. The baboons grasping for fruit indicate your search for knowledge. And may we never stop searching for knowledge, right? And insert that. Insert it. If this card found you, it says in conjunction with 31. We did not get 31, but I'll say it anyway since I started reading it. It's a strong indication that you should be writing, even if it's not strictly creative writing. Okay? So, like, no, we did not pick that card, but I had promised myself I wasn't going to read that, so clearly overruled. All right, onward. Now, like I said, this is for, June 18th. This is for the summer/winter solstice, depending where you are in 2023. And yet it really is timeless as well. And if you find yourself that you are in a struggling place, or if you feel a little hopeless, or if you feel like you need community, this reading, no matter what time of year, whenever you find it, is probably for you. Reach out, either to us, to me, or to whoever your support system is. This is the time. This is Decon 6, Destruction of Enemies. And the enemies can be those within you, the voices. Remember, I read this. Transliteration, Kentu Heru. Upper Kentu is a translation. Egyptian candidates 1 Shimu 11 to 20. Decan group Kentu, mineral gold. Destruction of enemies. Most people in the modern era don't have a pressing need to behead their enemies in the way Seti Yuan did, but this card deals with more than just enemies who are attempting to take your throne. It includes anyone who's attempting to destroy your serenity, peace, or joy. Inserting myself, us. You surely can think of at least 1 or 2 people whom you want to leave you alone, or with whom you have been in conflict. Yes, but which side? Is it us? Is it misunderstanding? Is it us? This card can also refer to spiritual enemies. The Decan's focus is really on overthrowing spiritual forces so that you're up against spiritual adversary when Kentu Heru is indicating that you will emerge victorious. If this card is found in conjunction with any other card that involves conflict, it is a sure sign of success in a dispute. You can decide what you consider other conflict. Like life is a conflict. All right, history. The Kentu Decan group is comprised of 2 decans, the upper and lower parts of Kentu. This name is not found in Egyptian mythology. Turning the page, because this is out of Kim's realm. It is, it's a newer deck, and I think it's quite insightful. And it's possibly the only decanal god that does not have established identity. One translator suggested the name may be Snorting One. Oh, no, it's true. I was making sure Snorting One was actually on our card, but it is. Have you been hearing me snort with our? We have really bad allergies. That's why when I read it, I was like, "Are you calling me out?" It is possible that the only decanal god that does not have an established identity. One translator suggested that the name may mean Snorting One, the first character in the decan's hieroglyphic name, W17, universally stands for a leader or person who is in command. This is closer to the core function of the decan as described in the Naos of the Decades. So even though there is no solid historical reference of Kentu as a deity, he can be viewed as a military leader. Okay, so even if it is just military or person instead of a deity, that means less worship, perhaps more as a guide, or even more as a role model. So please do not decapitate anyone. I don't care how angry you are, okay? I mean, like, if that writer gets that book before you, write another book. Send it elsewhere. Don't decapitate. That's I feel like it's strange that I would have to like put in like warnings, but like in these days and times, I'm at least saving myself for the warnings. I do not condone it. This is closer to the core function of the decan as described in the Naos of the Decades. So even though there is no solid historic record of Kentu as a deity, He can be viewed as a military leader. It is also worth noting that an important official during Pharaoh Teti's reign, chief lector priest Marukek, had a son named Kentu. The artwork on this card comes directly from a tomb wall of Seti I in the Valley of the Kings. Part of the Book of Gates, it depicts the deceased pharaoh carrying off the head of his enemies. The full art stretches about 6 meters and has dozens of repeating figures, emphasizing Seti's prowess as a military commander. Okay, so take no prisoners, I think, is probably the most Americanized version of this as you can possibly get. I'm sorry, like all history and everything else. But I think it's that we are to go within ourselves, stop like hurting ourselves, right? We're supposed to be like nurturing ourselves. We're supposed to feel that wing around us and that love. But then we're also supposed to be like conquering stuff. And I think that happens during that embrace. Like during that embrace, whether it's divine or within or whatever, in that space of comfort, we sort of lose our ghosts. They sort of go away. You can call them demons, whatever you want to call them. Like stop those voices, conquer them. That shipbird needs to shut up for a while. And the to-do list might need to shut up for a while too. Maybe you're allowed to have some fun. Maybe it's okay and it doesn't make you a bad person. Although I can't talk because I say that to myself all the time. So that's why when I'm like telling this, I'm also telling myself this as I tell you. Our final card. All right. This is Decan 33. The transliteration is Riemann Carey Saw. I should tell you that they actually give me the pronunciation. So even after I butcher it, they did try to help me. Just saying. The translation is the lower arm of Saw, S-A-H. I'll give you the Egyptian calendar dates since I did for the others. I'm not sure exactly what they mean. I'm going to have to look them up sometime. 3 Shimu 21 to 30. The decan group is Saw. The minerals is quartz, and they say gold presumed. Just want to like change this a little bit. Okay. Now this, our final card, is illumination or revelation. And that is why I said that this was a journey, right? And of course, it's our first card, the celebration of inclusivity. We have all gone on it. We are all going on it. And we are all celebrating it. And it's great and it's good and it's wonderful. Things happen. We have to take on some oppressors. We might have to find some love. But ultimately, we have the illumination or revelation. Saw's other arm, Riemann Carey, is responsible for providing divine revelations. So if you have a specific question, this is the deacon that is most capable of answering it. However, be warned, as there are two very distinct sides of this card, the illumination of gaining new knowledge and the potential of learning something we are perhaps better off not knowing. Which of these two are present in your reading can only be determined by studying the surrounding cards. If Kim had to say, if you had a question in the beginning that needed a yes, no answer, yes. The answer is yes. Whatever, if that's good, bad, ugly for you, yes. Also, since we've had such like an amazing positive thing, even if you were not supposed to know this, like this forbidden knowledge or whatever the hell crap, then you are really supposed to know it. And it won't damage you, it won't hurt you, and it'll only benefit you and help you on your journey. This journey is clearly about love. It is clearly about going within ourselves, both slaying our own demons and our own voices, as well as making sure as we take on our enemies or those that are trying to oppose us is kind of a strong word, but like keep us down, naysayers, that sort of thing, okay? Revelations can come from many sources, and when this card appears in a reading, it should encourage you to be on the lookout for hidden signs that spark sudden knowledge. Just as the metalworker picture on the card is stoking the fire, you should allow the possibility of your mind alighting with inspiration at the moment, unexpected moment. And I put moment, unexpected moment. It says most unexpected moment, but I really feel like it is like it is a fraction, a a glance of what could be. Like revelations don't have to last 10 minutes. They don't have to last years. You can just see a leaf. Emily Dickinson just describes to us a certain slant of light, and it has changed my life since reading that. Small things, my friends. I had a fight yesterday. I guess it was Friday, and it wasn't quite a fight, but it was a why do you do this to yourself, Kim? Sort of thing. Like, why do you care? This isn't your problem. And I went off about how it is our more people just did 5 minutes that just cared about something enough to keep going and just cared about a person enough for 5 minutes, the world would be such a different place. It doesn't take radical change in ourselves to change the world radically. Um, it might take some vision, it might take some dreaming. That's what we are, ultimately. All we are really dreams. And as a poet, as a writer, it is my job to send forth the message. And it's a burden. That's why so many writers have died over the years, by their hand or by alcohol's hand, etc., because it is a tough burden to hold. But we've been chosen. I, you don't choose the writing life, and I don't believe you choose probably any creative life. It's not easy. And like we are, in some ways, the messengers of both the good and the bad and the ugly. And fortunately for me, the how to change. So go forth on your parade. Be loved, get hugged, take deep breaths, look at this line of light, take no prisoners. Did I miss one? And yeah, have knowledge, as much of it as you possibly can, because there's no room for elitism um, in knowledge, because knowledge sort of allows us to bond and form like truth and true bonds and stuff. So I will leave you there. Um, Happy Letha, if you call it that. Um, Happy summer solstice. You'll be hearing more about me. There'll probably be another reading, different cards, maybe different place. All right, so take care of yourselves. Be well, please. Have a wonderful week wherever you are, whenever you are, and love yourself and love someone else. And do your 5 minutes.